Welcome back to On the Path, where we discuss all things Witcher related, blah, 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 blah. We're doing Echoes of the Past. We're doing Missing Persons. We're doing Nameless. But I'm far too excited because 24 hours from right now of this recording, I should be on a flight to Houston and then on a flight to Amsterdam as I leave tomorrow.
Exciting. I know we were just talking about it and I totally forgot about that because to me, Amsterdam is like still 2 days away because the flight for me is 1 hour, maybe an hour, 15 minutes. But it just dawned on me that obviously it's such a big journey for Brett and he has to leave tomorrow afternoon where I'll still have a full day of work to do.
Yeah, we talked about your flight to the destination is the same as my connection flight. Yeah. That's like maybe halfway across Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all yours is going to be.
Amsterdam's pretty close to me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got 9.5 hours on that flight. So yeah, I've got everything here. I'm in the middle of packing. So that's kind of where my head is, but we're into the main beef of Skellige here. 3 missions, because one of them is very short. But before we get going, house cleaning. If you think about it, review, comment, do all that fun stuff. We're going to go through these comments that we got. We are up to 88 reviews on Spotify. So we're almost getting to the 100. So if you listen on Spotify, please rate that. It really, really helps. And let's go straight to here. We had Nick on YouTube and Hal on Instagram both got in touch to say that we made a mistake on the last episode. Shocking. That you can actually do both Cerys and Hjalmar's quest, and it's later you can pick who you want to be king or queen. I guess I just never thought to do both.
Maybe, yeah, because they're not mandatory quests. Maybe you just did whatever one and then decided later on to also go with that person.
It must have been. I guess I did it like the lore friendly one that I just helped one out, then told the other one, I guess, bang
do
off.
Your thing. Yeah. That's a good little thing to note that you don't have to pick between the quests. You can do both of them. Another comment we got on YouTube was from a guy called Rage Quit Jackson. And this was in response to, I think, Brett, you were questioning the age of Cerys, right? I
still am questioning the ages of all of them.
Yeah. So Rage Quit Jackson says, I don't think Andrzej Sapkowski could tell you how old Hjalmar is. As Brett has said, the man doesn't really care. In the books, Yen and Croc speak about Ciri as a kid, and there seems to be a ton of timeline and age continuity errors. I remember it not matching with the earlier books. So yeah, another one of those things the author really doesn't mind.
I read something earlier today. I just happened to see it about, I think it was Mark Hamill tweeted it and was saying, when people asked George Lucas, is it Chewbacca? Is it Chewbacca? Is it Han or is it Han? Yeah. He was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like people are gonna, and the answer was basically people are gonna pronounce it differently all over the universe.
Yes.
Like, wow, that was actually a very good answer to someone who's just like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Because I remember it was Samuel L. Jackson in the prequels asking George about the color of the lightsabers.
Yes.
And he was saying is like basically like green is good or blue is good and red is bad. And he was like, well, can I have a purple? Like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, sure.
It's just like, no, he didn't. He's just, no, these are the colors. And he doesn't really think too much about it. And yes, Andrzej Sapkowski, time and time again, has shown he does not care about stuff like that. And so for CDPR to do it, it's perfectly on brand, I guess.
Yes, very canon.
All right, next up, Baron Grimswald on YouTube answered the question about Cerys Aridin nickname, that they're both nicknamed Sparrowhawk. And there's going to be some Polish words in here that I'm not to dare try and pronounce. Little known facts. We know both Cerys and Aridin are called Sparrowhawk. However, that's actually a mistranslation as they do not have the same moniker in the Polish original version. Aridin is called Sparrowhawk or Krogulek.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Sounds very Star Trekian right there.
Yeah, it does,
in Polish. However, in the Polish version, Cerys is instead called long P word with a lot of consonants in it, which is an affectionate form of shorter P word with the same amount of consonants in it, which in English means quail and not sparrowhawk.
That's interesting. That's a really good fact. Yeah.
That is. And quail is just not a good nickname.
No, quail's rubbish. And
School of the Quail. That's the sparrowhawk and the fox. Oh, that's the quail.
The quail is rubbish. Yeah. So I'm not surprised that they decided to call her Sparrowhawk, but it is a little bit of an oversight from them, I guess. But it never even crossed my mind that would be a mistranslation.
If it's I don't know. The mistranslations are weird. I don't know. I just think mistranslations are funny to me because it seems like stuff like that should be easily caught.
Yeah.
Like in the editing process or something, but I guess shit happens.
Yeah. And it's one that slipped through the net. I think this is the last comment we've got to read out today, and it's a really nice one from Twitter, and it's from a guy called Rob. And he says, love the podcast. You and the Fox Bride are doing a really great job of it. I get it on Tuesdays in Oz. And honestly, for that hour or so, I'm taken from work into the Witcher universe with you both, and it really makes the day so much better. I can't wait till next week.
You said Oz, just to be clear, it's like AUS
Australia. Yeah.
Oz, which is a nickname, OZ, Australia. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, those down under. But yes, it's nice to see messages like that, you know, we're going through people's heads as soon as it comes out. So
made my day. Yeah. So thank you for that one, Rob.
Yeah. Thanks again for everybody for commenting. Again, leave a comment under the YouTube video. You can email us, leave them on Instagram, Twitter, also the page that I'm looking at right now, the Discord. In the Discord, the On the Path, in there, we kind of put some behind the scenes stuff in there, maybe certain things. You might tweet out a little bit of spoilers. Well, not spoilers in that sense, spoilers like the episodes, like stuff we'll talk about spoilers, today. There you go. Stuff like that we'll allude to, like me saying that I have some Yen and Geralt hot takes today.
I'm quite intrigued to see what they are.
It's really more of a Geralt hot take and a Yen observation. But without further ado, I think we can go ahead and get started. I've kind of just bailed on the spoiler warnings. Nothing going to be too big spoiler. Like the series companion in here, I'm going to have to say who it is because we just keep alluding to who it is.
Yeah.
And we'll know like in 2 or 3 episodes, we'll actually finally be able to talk about that person, but I won't say the name yet. Other than that, I think we've covered everything. So we're going to start with Echoes of the Past, and Lucy, take us away.
Yeah, so Echoes of the Past is a quest that begins straight after Geralt and Yennefer recover the Mask of Ouroboros from Ermien's lab in the quest that we talked about last week. So this magical cataclysm has destroyed part of Ard Skellige, and Yennefer suspects Ciri was behind it, and Yennefer wants to use this mask to look for signs of Ciri having been there. The mask is very similar to the magic lamp that Kira gave us in the Tower Full of Mice quest, in that you can use it to see glimpses of the past. Ermien says that the mask can't be used as it will cause destruction, potentially bury them and the Isles underneath them. But Yennefer goes ahead and uses it anyway. And there's a really funny moment where you find Yennefer and Ermien arguing, and then as Geralt and Ermien start to speak, and Ermien's going, you can't do this. It's going to, she can't use this mask. It's going to potentially cause disaster. And then it cuts him off, and there's like a massive lightning bolt, and Yennefer's disappeared. And it's like, she's went to do it.
She must have used the mask.
Yeah.
It's also funny to me as you walk around just holding this goofy looking mask, or Geralt just walks around holding this mask. And so here comes that first thing from Yen. Yen in these, I was about to say episodes, Yen in these missions is very worthwhile, like very forceful and all that, very upfront about what she wants. And looking through some YouTube videos, looking through some comments, this is a big part where people are just like, oh, I hate Yen. Yeah. Oh, I can't stand Yen, blah, 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 blah. So this, my kind of thing is, if she were a man, like if she was a guy doing this, then it would just be like, oh man, she's just really headstrong.
Yeah.
And cause she's got these quips in there. She's very sarcastic in this. Like she has no time for anyone's bullshit.
Yeah.
And she would just be seen as like this roguish behavior. And the one I can compare it to is maybe like Lambert.
Yes.
Like Lambert, especially in the Yad Carradine quest we're going to talk about. Lambert, fuck, missing. I'm telling you, my mind is already on the flights. Lambert is very Yen-like in that mission where he's not listening to Geralt. He doesn't care. And he's doing crazy shit that's causing Geralt to have to fight people. But I've never heard anybody be like, man, I don't like Lambert. He's too headstrong. Yeah. I think it's because he's a guy and because Yen is this woman and doing it to Geralt.
Yeah. And I think whenever guys act like that, people are like, oh, he's such a dick, but like in an affectionate way almost. Like they like that about him when he acts like that. But
it's
then
like assertive. When a guy does it, it's very assertive.
Yes. And when a girl does it,
she's being a
bossy
bitch.
Or she's being a bitch. Yeah, exactly. Yennefer is a perfect example of this. And I think that's why I love Yennefer so much, because I love that she doesn't give a shit what all the guys are saying, or, if the Witchers are, pissed off with her. She just continues doing her thing, and she knows what she has to do, and she knows she's the best at what she does as well, and she's not afraid to embrace that.
And that's not to take away and say that Yen isn't being very forceful or being like a bitch, and that she absolutely is, because what we've said again, I don't know exactly how long ago it was, these missions show that Yen will do anything for Ciri. Anything. And we might get to later where I'm not sure Geralt will.
Yeah, I think that was another reason why we could group these 3 shorter quests together, in that the overarching theme is that Yennefer, nothing will stop her, and she will go beyond like boundaries, beyond respect, anything
desecrate
like that.
Corpses, holy ground.
She's ready, and
everything.
So like you said, we use the mask, and it's not like a clear picture. He can kind of see these 2 figures walking through the forest, and Geralt can tell one of them is Ciri because she moves like a witcher, which I thought was really sweet.
Wasn't she just walking?
I know. I was watching it like, what does he mean?
Like, she's walking in a straight line. Like, I get it if it was fighting. Like, you see them fighting. It's like, oh, she's fighting like a witch. Yeah. Oh, she moved like a witcher. I'm like, no, they're walking straight line, Geralt. Come on.
Just walking. And he's just like, he made this really sweet comment though, which, I clung on to the sweet comment.
Okay. Maybe I was being a dick there.
You're being a bitch.
Now I'm being the bitch.
But yes, we can see that Ciri was with a powerful companion, and it's a mage of some sort. And Geralt remembers that Kira Metz had said that a mage came to her in Velen looking for Ciri. Ciri and her companion were chased through this forest by the Wild Hunt, which we realize once we find the remains of one of the riders that Ciri's companion vaporized. So there's not really much of him left apart from his armor, which Geralt recognizes to be the armor of a Wild Hunt rider. And we see that Ciri and her companion escape, but separately and through separate portals. But Yennefer can tell that they both went to the Velen area. That's pretty much the end of the quest. Ermion comes down to have another go at Yennefer and Geralt. And he says that since this explosion happened, the Wild Hunt have also been seen and attacked a town called Lofden on Hindersfjall. So that's where Geralt and Yen will visit next. And he also makes quite an interesting comment to Yennefer, which will link quite nicely into a later quest. And he says, if somebody's death was going to help you find Ciri, would you start making human sacrifices as well? You could answer one of 2 ways. We're ready to do anything for Ciri, or calm down, nothing happened. And I mean, quite clearly, a lot of stuff's happened. It's very much downplaying.
Nothing's happened compared to what's about to happen.
Yeah.
At Lofoten. But no, this was, I like this because we get some background here with Ermion, who again is Mousesack from the books and Mousesack from the show. And he talks about the Elder Blood from Laradorin, extraordinary ability. So it kind of puts that back in case some people may have kind of forgotten about that a little bit. Mm-hmm. And this is also the Wraiths of Morhog. I know they said that in the show. I'm sure they say it somewhere in here as well. That's what Skellige, it's the Skelligan term, if you will, for the Wild Hunt. And so this is Ermion being like, oh shit, like they're here? Oh, because he believes it. Like they're going to believe it on Skellige.
Yeah. And if anywhere. I think Ice says it in the TV show, doesn't he? And Ciri then says it, having heard Ice say it.
Okay, yeah. Again, season 1 is, whew. Yeah. Season one is pre-COVID, so that's the long ago.
Yeah, it's like 3 years ago that season 1 came out.
You might as well be 30. So Ermion also mentions that he is now a Hierophant, which can ring a bell mainly to me because of like the tarot card. There's a tarot card, Hierophant. Yeah. I still need to get like a tarot deck. Every time I look into that. I'm not at all. I don't believe in it. No, I don't. Like, I don't believe in it at all. Right. I've never had a reading or anything like that, but the artwork is awesome.
It is,
it's all medieval to, a lot of, I think some Roman imagery, but it's all like this medieval, very Gothic looking art, depending on what you get. Yeah. And it's always that, that imagery right there that's just really cool to have. Like those Dragon Age Inquisition tarot cards. Like,
oh yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
I love that game mostly because of those. Like I want to play just so I can look at those during the game. And this also, Hierophant also was like priest in ancient Greece. I think I remember, maybe I heard that in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I've heard that somewhere in there, but yeah, that kind of goes there. And the last thing he kind of mentions what was kind of funny is you can ask him about the war, and he talks about like Radovid, and he calls Radovid a madman, but a cunning one. And to me, those are opposites. Like a madman is a lunatic, someone who doesn't really think. And a cunning is someone who obviously thinks very clearly about things.
Yeah, it's very the words left
strategic.
Me. Yeah, exactly. Very strategic, very like planning every move, whereas a madman would have none of that. So yeah, that is quite contradictory.
Just, I guess it could be more just tricky, I guess. And tricking could be somebody could be, that's even like a madman, though. That's not what a madman does. But maybe, I don't know. I guess you could call even like the Joker would be a madman, but he was also very smart in what he did. I guess I haven't seen the actual Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie yet.
You haven't?
So I have not. I don't.
It was good.
I don't know if I know, but like it's one of those. It's almost referenced too much in like real stuff.
It was very unsettling.
Like influence.
Yeah, I didn't like. I wouldn't say I enjoyed watching it, but it was good. In that it just made me feel really uncomfortable.
See, I don't know. It's been on HBO Max, I think, for a while. I assume it's still on there. And I still haven't seen The Batman, like the Robert Pattinson one.
Oh, I haven't seen that either.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't watch things.
No, I'm very behind on cinema. I just watch
I just rewatched over and over again. Okay. We might need to have a Cornetto trilogy sidebar here.
I would love that. Let's go.
I just rewatched all of them. Okay. And I've been on the record. I'm probably the only person in the flipping world, it seems like.
I know you're going to say.
Hot Fuzz is my least favorite.
I'm baffled by that.
I watched it again, and it's just not that funny.
Do you think it's because like it's very British?
I think that's exactly it. That's the first thing I was about to say.
Very British.
It's small town British. And I think you have to have that small town British with the big town thing. I also think this, and I legitimately want to ask Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg this. After watching these three movies, Simon Pegg is as brilliant of a comedic actor as I can think of ever seeing.
I think he's great.
Anybody. Yeah. He is amazing. And that's not even including like the dramatic stuff that he does in those movies. He is incredible. So why do you make him the straight man? He's a straight man in Hot Fuzz. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's not funny. He's not trying to be funny though. Yeah. It's like, we're going to make the most brilliant comedic actor the straight man and have other people play off of him. That's why I don't like that movie.
So you think he should be like a funnier character? Because you really like at World's End, don't you? Yeah.
Oh, The World's End I could literally talk about ad nauseum from like a filmmaking perspective and like a writing perspective of how it shows everything, the way it's shot. It's like the movie is like in reverse and fast forward at the same time. We won't get bogged down in that, but I love it also because I just love the message of it. It's as you get older, I'll admit this, especially as maybe like an older guy, that appealed to me more than like small town British. Yeah. The small town English town would do. But I don't understand making him the straight man. So that's a question I have to ask. And I don't know. All right, there's our Cornetto.
I think I need to watch The World's End again because I think I loved Hot Fuzz so much. And I watched The World's End maybe like once. And I feel like you do have to watch these films more than once to really love them. So I think I need to maybe sit down.
The World's End more than anything. Each time I watch it, up to about like the fourth or fifth time, it kept getting better. And I know that's normally not what a movie should do. But World's End was a lot like Shaun of the Dead, where Shaun of the Dead was a straight up comedy until like a point like that. And then it's like almost dramatic, fully dramatic. Yeah. And World's End kind of has that too, where they're all doing this pub crawl and then it turns into this like action alien movie. And then it gets super dark at the end of that. And like I said, that just appeals to an aging like man who may have had their life turned upside down. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. So stuff can appeal to it more, but I'm going to die on that Hot Fuzz hill of they made Simon Pegg not funny. And I just don't see how.
Why would you do that? I think it's a waste.
Why would you do that? He's so good.
Maybe we need to do a side quest episode into this Cornetto trilogy.
I would do that all day.
You could watch the last thing here with Ermian though. Yeah, let's go. Let's carry on.
There you go. All right. So the last thing here you can do here with Ermion, with after all this happens, you can be like, hey, you want to play some Gwent?
Of course. Yeah.
Yen can wait. We'll play some Gwent. And they play Gwent. And they talk about how Croc is now really good. And you go play him and then play this shitty guy named Gremist. So there you go. You got the Gwent little reprieve there in the midst of
right in the middle of this whole discovery of the Wild Hunt and the Cataclysm, and it's like Gwent. We might have got a trail on Ciri here, but
for a round of Gwent.
I want your Gwent card. But this leads on to the next quest. So you can go off and do side quests or Witcher contracts at this point if you want. But the next main quest is Missing Persons. So we go and meet Yennefer on Hindrisfjall and we walk to Lofton together. And there's so much great dialogue here between Yennefer and Geralt. But like you said earlier, she is just really being a bit of an arsehole the whole time. And I think she means it in an affectionate way, because if Geralt kind of doesn't laugh, she's like, oh, come on, I'm just teasing you. But yeah, it's very funny. There's loads of great moments. And it's a good one if you are interested to go and watch a YouTube video on it to see all the different dialogue options, because obviously when you play the game, you'll just do it once and get one, but there's loads of little bits that you might miss otherwise. So we get to Lofton. The Wild Hunt have destroyed the town and left a lot of people dead. So the priestesses of the town are performing a ritual to honor the dead. Geralt kind of says we should hold off here because they're obviously doing something serious and they're priestesses, so we should leave them alone. Yennefer is not patient enough. She just barges right in. Sorry, ladies, sorry to interrupt, but there's a very pressing matter, is what she says.
Well, that's the best thing is they go up there and Geralt he's like, whoa, we should probably wait. And she goes, we will do no such thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And just barges in there. I'm like, there you go. There you go. She got no time for this.
Waltzes on in and prods them for information. Whereas when she asks a question, she can see they're upset, grieving, and she prods for more information, where Geralt is kind of like, at some point, Geralt can say, Yen, back off. Or you can encourage her even more, which I like to do.
Well, what I like about that is if you tell her to stop, she does actually apologize.
Yeah.
And she tells Geralt, you're right. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Because she
might be the only time she does that.
Yeah. And I think and at another point in the quest, he questions why she's being like this. And she's like, I genuinely don't care about what everyone thinks. Like, I only care about what you think, or Ciri, or people I actually love and care about. That's the only opinions I care of. So maybe that's why if he calls her out on it, she actually would stand down as such.
Yeah, she's proving that on Skellige that she does not care about local customs, the Hierophant Ermion, or these priestesses here. She does not care.
No, really, all that's in her mind is Ciri. One woman says that she saw Ciri for a moment before the attack, and Ciri was in the stables with a man that's now known as Craven. And the woman kind of slips up and she goes, oh yeah, she was with Craven. Craven will be able to tell you more. So I was kind of like, why is she? I thought she was lying at one point, that she was saying he was with somebody and then with somebody else. But it turns out that Craven is a man who fled the town when the Wild Hunt attacked, and he's been kind of disgraced from society and given this new name of Craven because he's had his names, titles, everything stripped from him. So Craven has went to a place called Freya's Garden to fight Morkvarg, who's this monster, and this is going to be his way of redeeming himself and regaining the respect of the people in the town. But he never returned. So next part of the quest is to visit the garden and see if we can find him.
I forgot to mention, and it ties in with this, when you first start to walk up to the priestesses, you can talk to a guy, like a fisherman or something like that. And he's very, very, very defensive why he's there. And
really?
as soon as you walk up to him, he's like, look, I fought them. Like, it's just healed. I'm only survived because they didn't hit my organs. And you can be like, well, you're pretty defiant. Like, what are you blathering about? And it's because this guy survived. And it's one of those, hey, the Wild Hunt came, they killed everybody that fought back. Why didn't you fight back as a guy? And so I do like that kind of thrown in there. It's like, did he actually fight? Or is he worried now that he'll be Craven because of what they did to Skjall.
Yes.
Now, if he'll be the Craven in this. So I thought that was a very cool thing for them to put in before you even know about any of this.
Yeah, definitely. Because that would kind of just sit in your mind, like, why is that? And then all of a sudden you're going to have this story revealed and you'll think, that's why. So that's a very clever way of storytelling from them.
And he also does say that he's the next time they sell off to raid, he's going to join and get some Nordling blood. And it's also funny too, hearing them talk about fighting the Nilfgaardians and fighting the Nordlings, like the Northern Realms. Like they're just kind of just raiding everybody.
Anyone.
It's like, that's what they do. I guess one's not worse than the other.
They haven't chosen sides as such. So yeah, we head to the garden next, and there's it's quite funny when you're walking anywhere with Yennefer. If you go too far ahead, she just shouts at you and tells you to come back. So she doesn't even let you go too far ahead. You have to stay with her. But as you walk up to the garden, which is Freya's garden, I think the first thing you see is Morkvarg, which is this kind of werewolf-looking monster. Would you say he's a werewolf, right?
Yeah, he's a werewolf.
And you can hear him kind of eating something, and that's my least favorite noise from the game is Morkvarg eating. And I think that noise is in Gwent as well.
I know him just like snarling with his stuff like that.
I don't know why I hate that so much.
Just gnawing at everything.
I hate it. So that like I don't remember what the Gwent card did, but it was one of my most used Gwent cards. But I just had to like plug my ears whenever I played it because I hated it so much. So that kind of leads off. It can lead off into a whole other side quest, which is all about Morkvarg and lifting his curse. But obviously we know that Craven came here to try and kill Morkvarg, and obviously he hasn't been successful. But we'll not go into that side quest now. We'll circle back to that one once we finish the main quest. So Yennefer and Geralt search the garden for signs of Craven. And as you're looking around, you can see like a trail of blood, and Geralt goes, yeah, look, here's this, that, and the other. Like, and you see it, and Yennefer says, I might be inhumanly beautiful, but I don't have superhuman senses. Not like you. So Geralt sort of says, you stay up here. I'll go and search around this whole place for the body.
When you first start talking, I love that Yen's kind of coy about things, and Geralt can be like, Yen, what are you plotting?
Yeah.
And she says many things, such as how to seize the Temerian crown, sail Kaer Morhen out from under you. Other stuff like that. It's like, man, she has no time for other people's BS, but like she'll just crack these jokes and do all that as well. And did you get the lines of the dog puns?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's so many of them. I didn't write them down. Do you have any of them?
A couple of them made no sense. Like the wolf's belly. I don't know if that was if that's a European thing.
I didn't get some of them. So that's why I didn't write them down, because I was like, they're just making puns for dogs.
Geralt starts off with, yes, to transform into a werewolf. God bless it. To transform into a werewolf. It's a dog's life, eh?
Yeah.
And I'm just, as soon as I heard that, I literally I did that, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And then I thought like that was just going to be it, because I didn't understand the next two, was something about a wolf's belly.
Yeah.
And then the last one was a Yen saying, like, no question, he was top dog here. And I'm just, oh my God. And then I think Geralt might have had another one after that. She's like, okay, that's enough. Like, you win.
You win, yeah.
And I'm like, okay. What? Like, it's just, again, we have these little snips, everyone kind of throws off their little one-liners, and then you move on. But they literally stop down right here to have this 5 or 6 lines of dog and wolf puns.
Back and forth with each other. It's so weird.
It's just, I have it's mainly a hate relationship with puns. And
really?
So I kind of might have thrown my controller down here a little bit and just done kind of looks like that.
You're done with it.
Over it.
Yeah. So this is a really weird little area. The garden has several, I don't know how to describe them, but it's not like a cave because it's got a door. So there's like caves, then there's little rooms which have got fences over them, and you have to lift up and down some levers, but eventually you'll come to this cave, which is right beneath where Yennefer is standing.
Those are called like sluices, right? Those water things.
Is that what it is?
Go up and down. I think it's called a sluice.
So you have to pull a lever and then this thing goes up and the water levels out so you can go through. But if you've already done the side quest, you've already done that bit. So that's where it kind of gets confusing when you're watching the videos. So at the very bottom of a well, Geralt finds Craven's body. And he says that he has seen rot fiends in better condition than him. So the body's like decomposing is what he's getting at. And Yennefer shouts down to scrape together what you can and haul the bits up here, but won't tell us her plan.
She doesn't want to yell through that grate. She's like, just hurry up and get up here.
Yeah. So Geralt's humor again is just so weird. So he obviously starts to pick up this corpse and he's like, come on, someone wants to meet you. Just bringing it up to Yennefer. It's so bizarre, but I guess they're trying to keep this quest as lighthearted as it can be, considering where it's about to go.
If I cared that much, like the tone is just kind of all over, because you're right. Maybe it was to keep it light before what's about to happen.
Yeah, because it goes dark. Yeah, very all of a sudden as well. So we bring the body up and. Like there's just so many funny lines. So Yennefer's like, okay, right, we'll get him to talk. And Geralt goes, he looks at the dead body. He doesn't seem like much of a talker. And finally, Yennefer reveals her plan that she's going to use the magic of the garden and her own powers, of course, to essentially revive using necromancy the body so that they can speak with him and find out what happened to Ciri.
So necromancy's forbidden, such as premarital sex, as she says.
Yeah.
It is weird also when, something like that is obviously very much a like Judeo-Christian, even like Islamic thing, contemporary to our world. And it is something that when it gets put into fantasy worlds, I'm always just like, oh yeah, like I guess they would do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's one of those that it doesn't throw me out of it. It's just always weird when I see fantasy worlds do it. And that's not good or bad or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just always throws me off. It's just like, oh yeah, I guess they took that. They took that in as well.
For their like super religious folks in their world as well.
I think it's always just, hey, marriage is, I guess, easy thing to say, oh, marriage is from God, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I guess way to do it. But hey, why is the necromancer so buff?
The necromancer?
Yeah, why is the necromancer so buff?
What do you mean?
They've been doing a lot of deadlifting.
All right, I like that one.
There's mine. There, I joined in on the puns and
I like it.
The dad jokes. I like how you didn't know that it was like a joke. You're like, wait, what?
I know. I didn't know what you mean. I thought you meant like a character in the game. Like, why is he so buff? And I was like, I don't know who you mean.
Like, why would Brett be doing a dumb joke? Oh, he is going to do it. Okay. There you go.
Maybe they should have put that joke in the game just to lighten the mood even more. I could see Yennefer coming out with that.
Only I can do that. I would have broken my controller if they would have done it.
Hey, Geralt. Oh, God.
Now we're losing it.
We are, yeah. We just need to get away for the weekend. Geralt doesn't seem particularly enthused by the idea, but he doesn't tell her no. So I think he kind of talks to her about the consequences. He says, have you considered the consequences, especially since this area, this garden that we're in, is very sacred to the people of Hindarsfjall, and the priestesses are going to be furious about this. And Yennefer is like, yeah, I've considered the consequences, and quite frankly, I don't care, because all I care about is finding out if something's happened to Ciri, finding a new lead on Ciri. And Geralt, I guess, kind of agrees, and he's happy for her to go ahead with it, even though he knows the consequences. He says, we're going to make some enemies here.
So this is herein lies it's not a hot take, it's more of a hot question. Because Geralt protests like multiple times here. Like It's not just one time or even twice. It's like 3, 4. So eventually Yen is like, just shut up or get out of here. Like either like help me or not. Like this is happening. Sorry. And he's saying like, oh, your please is really just a command or something like that. When she's like, Geralt, please. He's like, no, it's just a command. And this is where, again, Yen is going to do whatever. And so would Geralt do whatever? Because it seems here he would not do this if it was up to him.
Yeah, if it was him that was the one with the powers and maybe Yen was asking him to do it, would he?
Or if Yen just wasn't there and it was somebody else being like, hey, do you think we should do this? Like, so it seems to me, because like I said, that's always the biggest difference in Triss and Yen.
Yeah, because
Yen will do anything. Yen will do anything for Ciri, and Triss will obviously sell her out in the books and maybe even do more stuff with the lodge here. I don't know. But you would always think like, oh, well, Geralt would be like, yeah, Geralt would do absolutely anything, because he kind of in the books, I don't think there's ever really a time where he doesn't ever hesitate to really do or say anything. And so right here, it really just planted that seed in my head of, I don't know if he would.
Yeah. I wonder, because I think, was it earlier in the game when Triss kills, was it Menga?
Yeah.
And we needed Menga to figure out what happened to Dandelion. And I think they mentioned necromancy at that point, and Triss is like, I would never, ever.
Yeah, exactly.
So figure something else out.
I wouldn't stoop that low, Geralt.
Exactly. Yeah. She's like completely not even considering it in the slightest. So I wonder, like, yeah, maybe if Geralt was in this situation alone, he would try and find another way. But I guess if there was no other way, I don't know. I think he might.
And that's the thing. Like I would have always said yes. Yeah. But now it just seemed like it was one thing to be like, hey, should we be doing this? And Yen being like, look, we have to. And then him be like, okay, okay, yeah, you're right. But just doing it over and over. And I don't know if it's to get too meta into this, like meta character wise, is this just where his cup ranneth over of like taking shit from Yen or being bossed around by Yen? And he's just drawing like a frustrated line here. But at the same time, it's like, you just did all that. You just hauled the bones up, like in a weird way. Like, Geralt, what did you think? Why do you think you hauled those bones up in that body?
Like, yeah, he must have known. Yeah, there's no other way it could have been a use for that.
Or I think it was kind of mentioned, I don't remember if you hear earlier, he just wants to be consulted. He just wants to be asked and let in on things. That could be another thing too, that he feels, because she wouldn't said, like, if she would have just been like, hey, we're going to find these bones, we're going to put them up here and I'm going to bring them back to life, blah, blah, blah. But maybe he just feels more misled or betrayed or used.
Exactly. Yeah. And especially with the last quest, we weren't told about what this plan was to go and get the mask either. Geralt's just dragged along and, she just needs him for, I guess, the muscle in case. But you know what? Does she even need him in that? Because she's very powerful.
Joke. Yes, but she did make a joke when you first get to this garden of come back safely because I need you to find Ciri. And he gets a little hurt about it. And she's like, oh, I'm just kidding. She kind of does that, which again, an asshole would joke and make fun of people until they show they're hurt. And then she's like, oh, I'm just kidding. I like you. Yeah. And like, that might be abusive too.
A little bit gaslighty, Jennifer.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I'm going to abuse you until you show some vulnerability. And then it's like, oh, okay. Then I'll give you that pat on the back to build you back up. And then I hit you back down again. So I am just all over the map here in regards to like Geralt and Yen, but this is definitely something where, let us know again somewhere, comments or whatever, like what you take out of this, because, one thing going back through the game is now we delve deeply into this.
Yes.
And so with all this stuff coming up, it's just like, oh man, it's kind of changing what I may have thought coming in before. Like
I
how
agree.
They would act.
I think having looked at everything more in depth, and I can I would always still pick Yennefer, I think, but I can kind of understand why maybe someone who was like solely a game Witcher 3 player might be like, oh, she's awful. Like, this is horrendous.
Every single time I see it in like a Twitch chat or something where someone's like, oh, Yen sucks. Yen's a bitch. I hate Yen. I just instantly ask like, hey, have you only played the games or have you read the books? They've never done it because they're only getting it from The Witcher 3. And again, it's, we'll save a lot of this stuff for the very end when we talk about the overall aspect of the game. It's like the number one problem I have with this game and like CDPR's interpretation of it is the way they did Yen without prior knowledge. Yeah. Like playing the game first, because I played the game without any prior knowledge and I came out of it the same way. Like, of course, I picked Triss the first time I played it. Like, Yen's just unpleasant, if you will. Yeah. Like, I know she likes Ciri and all that stuff. But again, I didn't realize how important Ciri was, to everything going back. And that's just the number one problem I have is their interpretation or their, what's it called when you put projection? No, whatever. Their picturization, their realization.
Yeah.
I can't think of the word. However, they're putting Yen out.
Yes.
However, they're doing that. Their character is whatever. I don't know. Like to somebody that would be just playing the game. It's just too often that we see people that have only played the games just like completely dislike Yen. I'm like, that's not good.
No.
Like that's really like, not good.
It's a weird one because obviously the situation or the story of The Witcher 3 is like very high stakes. Like they think Ciri might be in danger or be dead. So we're never going to get like a fun, like lighthearted side of Yen, and maybe until later when her and Ciri reunite. But up in this point where you're like choosing who you're going to romance, which is like earlier in the game, she's very much like we have to do this, whereas Triss is a little bit more laid back. So
well, Triss is not even looking for Ciri. She's doing her own thing, which is fine. Like she's survival of the mages and getting out of Novigrad. But that's a very good point. You say they did a great job of characterizing Yen as doing anything for Ciri, which would mean she doesn't have the benefit of being a player character like us and playing Gwent's on the side. Like her whole thing is like, I'm going to Lofoten. So in that moment, she only exists as going to Lofoten and waiting. She's not playing Gwent with Ermion like us or going to do some kind of random siren killing off to the side. And so I do think that's a good point you make there about there can't be any bit of respite for her because it's all about Ciri. And then you said when they reunite, they're reuniting at Kaer Morhen to fight the Wild Hunt. And then it becomes a race against time to prepare for it.
Yeah, there's
never really. The only time we could have got it would have been afterwards, like in Blood and Wine, if she would have shown up there.
Oh, yeah.
And, then to have that where if she's just chilling back at Corvo Bianco while we're out vampire hunting.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the quest ends with Yennefer bringing Skjall back to life, and it's really awful. It's really creepy. It's really scary, and it's not very pleasant. And you can tell that it makes Geralt uncomfortable. Yennefer is not really showing any patience at all. She, obviously this corpse person, Skjall, is very confused and can't speak very well. I think she even made a comment that his body was starting to decay, but his vocal box was still all right. So he should be able to speak. And so whenever he wakes up, she's just like, speak, where's Ciri, speak. And she just like, she's very, very persistent. Whereas Geralt is trying to kind of console him by telling him that he got his, he died in battle. So he's, what is the word I'm looking for?
Redeemed?
Yeah, exactly. He's been redeemed in his village because he died in battle. He was trying to comfort him as such. And Yennefer's like, no, there's no time for comforting him.
There's no time for that.
Speak. What's happened to Ciri?
But I think with that, I've heard people again be like, oh, Yen again, she's not blah, blah, blah. This is a corpse. Like this is a dead body. And the philosophical questions of the afterlife, there's clearly an afterlife here because is Skellige like in a limbo? Was he nowhere? Did he come back? Well, you have to be somewhere if you're going to come back to life. Yeah. So all that notwithstanding, he's dead. And they're right. Like it's about the living. And what do his feelings matter if he's dead?
I know.
That's like a whole other aspect of philosophical thought that we can't even comprehend.
Yeah.
Because we don't have cases of people coming back to life in sense like this. But it's another thing where I think just Yen gets a bit wronged in the sense of she's kind of right here. Like Geralt, there is no time to do this. The spell might run out. We absolutely have to find out what happened to Ciri while we have this time.
Yeah, we need to get the information out of him whilst we can, because she doesn't know how long she can hold on to this spell. And obviously he's not particularly coherent. So it might take longer to get information out of him. So we need to just get down to business. And like you say, like there's no way of knowing how conscious this person is or isn't, whether it's just like a way she can tap into his brain and just look at his memories as such. But it's really awful. Just the whole thing's just not very nice to watch. And it ends with it kind of fading to a white screen. And we're going to go back and see, I think we play as Ciri in the next one, don't we? Yeah, so we're going to see what happened with Ciri and Skjall and how they ended up. Well, we don't know where Ciri ended up, but we're going to see how Skjall got here anyway.
And I think we're finally going to see that companion.
Oh, yes. You got through that episode without saying who it was.
I did. And I guess I can hold off for a whole other week.
Well, is it going to, it's going to feel longer because today feels like too soon to be recording a podcast because it's Tuesday and we never record until like Thursday, Friday. And now it's going to be like over a week till we record. So yeah, I'm going to have forgotten how to podcast by the time we come back.
But let's say we need to record right as I get home from that 11-hour flight in the middle of the day.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Just flip the camera on, just Witcher.
Who's the companion?
After those 96 hours that I'll be in Amsterdam. But
that's wild to me.
That will be next week. I think that's going to do it though.
Yeah.
For this episode. Mm-hmm. All right. As always, you can find us on Twitter at Witcher Podcast. As I'm about to, there it goes. Find us on Twitter at Witcher Podcast. Email us witcherpod@gmail.com. Instagram at WitcherPod. Discord, again, there is a channel in Lucy's Discord. We'll link that below for just On the Path that we put a bunch of random stuff in. And again, you can follow. We'll put some stuff on the On the Path Instagram account of us in Amsterdam and all that.
Yes.
But a lot of stuff also like the personal accounts, but you can find those pretty easy. Again, make sure if you're listening to this, you can also watch this on the Gwentfinity channel on YouTube. Big thanks to Mark Theus for editing all this and everybody else there for the images and everything they do. It's incredible. Bang up job. And again, comment below those videos. Seems like we're getting a little bit more.
Yeah, YouTube's been really fun. I've really enjoyed doing it. I'm glad we decided to do it. And if you're on YouTube, you can see mine and Brett's unintentional matching outfits.
White tops. Everything I have is basically white, black, and gray. It's all like athletic gear and all of that. I've got all my nice outfits they'll have in Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think I have all that covered there. Lucy, where can we find you?
You'll find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at LucyJRobin.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at TheFoxBride4 because God bless it. Whoever has the Foxbride will not give that up.
I'm going to go report them.
I really just want Foxbride. If anybody can grab Foxbride, just Foxbride on Twitch, especially Twitch, but on Instagram, any of that, or on Twitter, any of that, I will pay you. I will pay. I legitimately just want that because like the Foxbride it's like too much. And people usually say Fox. I do, but like I just like Foxbride, it can be long and some people like say the whole name. I'm just like, you don't have to do all the syllables in there. So I think it's just like that because it'll be just more like a Fox thing. And Twitch is the Foxbride. So join us next time for our first one post Amsterdam. And if you are still listening to this, which I doubt any of you are, we will have a very special announcement to make when we get back from Amsterdam. Maybe a very special person joining the show. Okay, so there's your tease. We'll do that when we get back next Monday or Tuesday. Nothing. Basically, the day this episode drops will be the day we will probably announce that.
Yes.
It should be around that time.
Yeah.
But next time, join us on the path as there is a calm before the storm.